Well, it's time to wrap this broadcast up with the Alderson's Award West postgame show. For trophies, awards, t-shirts, and so much more, go to aldersons.net for their full catalog. Josh Kaiser alongside Matthew King. We're at South Sound Stadium tonight here at Fouts Field, where it was the Peninsula Seahawks taking care of business over the River Ridge Hawks, 48-6. It was a 21-6 game at the half, but Peninsula came out with the pooch kick, surprise onside kick, whatever you want to call it, got the ball, and they never looked back in this one.
No, it was a very impressive performance by Peninsula, especially, like you said, in the second half. Remember, it was 21-6 at halftime. River Ridge was in a pretty good spot. They were competing. They were right along with there. Also had the interception at the 1 yard line that they threw, so they had a chance to even cut it to 21-12 at worst. But then, yeah, that little pooch kick that Peninsula recovered, they ended up marching down the field, scored a touchdown, scored another touchdown. Then that unfortunate injury to that River Ridge player really just seemed to take the wind out of the sails, and I don't blame them after that. And Peninsula, they just came out red hot out of the halftime break.
No, red hot, and like you said, it was a really unfortunate event there. Thoughts are with the kid as no updates. We're not going to have any updates tonight, but hoping best case scenario and everything was precautionary. This is a high school level, so appreciate the caution side of it. But, yeah, like you said, it was Peninsula. It was a tale of two halves. It was entirely Peninsula in the second half. First half was a dogfight between these two squads, evenly balanced. The breaks went the Seahawks' way, but the Seahawks really hit the throttle here in the second.
Yeah, River Ridge fell behind the chains quite often due to penalties in the second half, really put their backs up against the wall, and they just couldn't overcome it. Peninsula, they dropped back into coverage. They knew that they were going to try and pass the ball. They just really pressured Harper, did not allow him to get out in open space. That's where he's the best. So credit to the Peninsula defense for making the adjustments, and good situational football for the Seahawks.
Good situational football, good containment. Take away Harper's strong point. It looks like it is his legs. He is a sophomore. He's going to grow into this game some more. He's made some good reads. Just needs to work on the touch of those passes and be maybe a little more cautious with the throws across the body. Not everyone's a Patrick Mahomes out there, especially at this level, but he'll grow into it.
Yeah, and they also have a really good running game. I mean, we saw Ronaldo Gonzalez Salazar. He's a guy you can lean on. Let him go out there and do the nitty-gritty work, earn those hard-fought yards, take the pressure off of Harper, and let him just kind of sit back and really play at a slower pace, slow the game down, let him think a little bit more. So I look for the Hawks to really rely on that run game a little bit more here as the season goes on.
And speaking of that run game, really impressive win here tonight from Peninsula Seahawks. When you have a depth of a backfield of 7, 8, 9 running backs, it was just it was a carousel back there, let's be honest. Coming into this one with one loss on the season, undefeated in league play, but this is a team that's looking like they can really do some damage. Honestly, I think they'll make the playoffs. They're gonna wreak havoc.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet, saying that they're gonna make the playoffs. That only loss was to Enumclaw, who's a legit state contender at 2A, and that was a really close game. I mean, that Enumclaw squad, they run the ball so well with Emmett Otero, so that's not a bad loss for Peninsula at all, and they've used it to add fuel to the fire. This team's rolling right now. 4th straight win now. They're in a pretty good spot to compete for the top of the South Sound Conference or finish second at worst.
And I believe that Enumclaw game was week 1. That's when teams are kind of growing into themselves, finding their identities, shaking off the rust of last season. You got some new kids up here, new starters. So this Peninsula team, I'd be curious to see those two teams play today, see how the event goes, because the Peninsula is looking like a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, they've definitely grown from that loss. They've gotten a ton better. That win over Gig Harbor gave them a lot of momentum too, so they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
Speaking of feeling pretty good, do you got some stat totals here for us tonight?
Yes, I do. Here are my stats. Peyton Knowles, 15 of 22, 227 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, the 1 interception. He also had 7 carries for 42 yards. We also saw Brady Laybourne have 4 carries for 16 yards, or excuse me, I did not update his carry total. His carry total was 6 carries for 16 yards, also had 6 catches for 52 yards. We also saw Landon Watson, 7 carries, 58 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And, of course, Isaac Smith, 4 carries, 30 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and also 2 catches for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Dane Madah, 6 catches for 55 yards for him. While for River Ridge, It was Harper, 5 of 12, 57 yards, the 2 picks, 6 carries for 21 yards, and the lone touchdown. Also saw Ronaldo Gonzalez Salazar, 16 carries for 79 yards for him with 2 catches for 14 yards as well.
So that is our stats of the night. And you know what? Let's kind of just segue into our player of the game. Our MVP in tonight's game is brought to you by Thorbeck's Wellness Center in Chehalis, Centralia, South Bend. Strong today, stronger tomorrow, strongest together at Thorbeck's. And this one, it was a short discussion. We agreed with it immediately. I'll let you do the honors of naming our player tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be Isaac. Isaac Smith, pardon me. He was just really, really solid. Every time he touched the ball, it felt like that the Seahawks could score 4 touchdowns on his day. And you look, he only had 6 touches on offense, 4 touchdowns. That's an explosive playmaker. Was really good in the kick return game. Set up the Seahawks with great field position multiple times. Not a guy who's going to just beg for touches. He's going to make the most of what he gets. It was very impressive for that. Isaac Smith tonight.
Congratulations to him. As he said, a handful of touches, but executed them well. That's what you call a specialist, a finisher specialist down towards the goal line. Just let your 5'10", 190 running back workhorse just tote the rock, run over defenders, find the pay dirt.
Yeah, just incredible performance from them. Also, do want to give a score update from the other SSC game. Timberline holds on to beat Gig Harbor in overtime, 36-34. Gig Harbor had the 2-point attempt to send it double overtime. Just fell a bit short. That one just went final as well, so a big win for Timberline in that one.
What a game up there. I believe Timberline and Peninsula still have yet to meet each other, so that is shaping up to be a good game down the road, but that is down the road. Any final thoughts on this one tonight before we hit our close?
I mean, there's not much left to say. Peninsula, this is a team built to win now. River Ridge, they're built to win in the future. They're going to get there. Trust me, in a couple of years, this team's going to be contending in the SSC. You're going to take those lumps as a young team, but you're going to eventually get there. They do have a tough test. They'll go to Gig Harbor next Friday night to take on them, a Gig Harbor team coming off a tough loss. Meanwhile, for Peninsula, they will be on the road visiting Central Kitsap as they look to just continue to build that momentum to that eventual showdown with the number 1 team in the 3A classification in Yelm.
And since you do have that schedule in front of you, I'm curious, when is the collision course of Peninsula and Timberline?
Peninsula and Timberline will meet Thursday, October 27th, the final regular season game. But Friday, October 21st, that's when Peninsula hosts Yelm. That one might be for the league title.
A couple of good games coming up on the docket, whether it's Timberline, Peninsula, and Yelm. It's looking like this league is going to come down to the wire late in the season. Wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. You always love those last week of games where it actually means something for these teams.
Well, that'll put a wrap on this one. Again, our final score, if you can pull it up real quick, I already forgot it. I got it. 48-6, our final. Peninsula taking care of River Ridge. We'll see you next time right here on the Eli and NFHS Sports Networks. For Matthew King, I'm Josh Kaiser. Have a good night.